This report is my next report in my series on money in college football. The real question, and I've asked it many times, is college football a professional sport? It is a professional sport. Most of you who have any doubts about that would have those doubts removed right away if you saw the case made for college football being a professional sport. Let's look at the television money. This is really the source of all of the elements, the characteristics of college football that make it a professional sport. Right now, there are enormous contracts with college football to broadcast their games on network television, especially ESPN, but CBS, ABC, and NBC. Very interesting that the Big Ten has the biggest contract. That actually the Big Ten has the biggest appeal for a television audience. About $242 million are paid to the Big Ten Conference for the rights to broadcast their games on television. The second highest, should come as no surprise, is the SEC at $205 million. The Big 12 follow at $78 million. You can see how sharply it drops. This is simply a question of how many people watch the game. How many people watch the game has a lot to do with the markets that they reach. The Big Ten covers a lot of markets, a lot of people into football. They're going to watch those games. The Big Ten actually has their own cable station now, so they cover an extraordinary number of games every week. Virtually every game then in the Big Ten Conference is covered on some television station every week. Interestingly enough, the Big Ten is looking to expand. They want to add a team to the Big Ten, which is actually the Big 11, if you count the teams. And of course, the best team to add would be Notre Dame. The Big Ten probably doesn't do that well in Boston and New York. There's no team near New York or Boston that's in the Big Ten or Big 11. That's a Big East region. But if they could get Notre Dame, which is a very popular team for the entire country, obviously they'd be adding a lot of viewers in big markets. The problem with Notre Dame joining the Big Ten is that Notre Dame is the only college team in the entire country that has a separate individual contract with a major network, and that, of course, is NBC. They make close to $40 million a year individually from NBC to broadcast their games. One question I have for Notre Dame is how much influence does NBC have on coaching decisions, on hiring and firing? When do they hire and fire a coach? I'm positive they had a lot to say about Charlie Weis. I think they did basically hire Charlie Weis thinking this brilliant professional coach will straighten out Notre Dame. Obviously, it didn't work. Brian Kelly probably was more Notre Dame's decision. But I think, again, if the Big Ten had any one team they could add, it would be Notre Dame. As long as NBC isn't bankrupt, though, it looks as if Notre Dame will stick with their individual contract and not join the Big Ten. One of the interesting things about television and college football is how many games now are broadcast. It used to be just Saturday afternoons, You'd see a game, say, at 12 o'clock. Maybe there'd be a late game at 4 o'clock, but it was just Saturday afternoons. Now, college football, every single day of the week, you will find a college football game that's broadcast. This means, again, that college football is no longer simply an amateur sport, but basically it's a product that's sold on television to the consumers, and a lot of money is made by these universities.